Direct combat not recommended.
Hello friends, this is Doubt from Aztech. I'll be bringing you an Abathur guide today. Give this guide creation a go, try and give back to the community a little bit. I suppose this guide is for like open teams and just individual players who see the incredibly high pick rate and ban rate on Abathur in high elo games, like in Europe or whatever, and like his high pick and ban rate in competitive as well. And people just want to know how to potential. The hero is very powerful and not as hard to play as I think people think he is. Like they have the perspective that he's quite a hard specialist hero to play, but with Abathur it's more of a case of learning his play style, and then in game there isn't like much pressure on mechanics, just staying very focused on the map. For that reason he's a very good hero for your shot caller to play on your team. First I'll go over his town build. Right now Abathur's towns, due to some changes in the meta or some realizations or whatever, has become quite similar. There's one build that's considered just generally better than the others, which is the E build. So you're going to take the E at 1, the E at 4 as well. So what that allows it to do is that the shield will heal from the level 1 talent, which is quite a lot of healing actually, and the 4 will mean that the shield will stay on the target healing them without your symbiote there. So what you can do is hat the target, hit E for the heal, push your buttons and just D-hat, and the shield will remain healing them if they're not currently being attacked. If the shield's still there, they will get healing for its duration, which is quite a lot of healing. For Abathur's 7s, I guess this is the talent tier with the most variation. On a couple maps, Mule is the strongest. Sky Temple, it's kind of a must pick. You can use it on Curse and Towers and stuff as well, to either delay out the game, or on Towers you can use it to hold an allied cap, an enemy cap longer. If you've capped like their top fort or something, Mule will help keep it up for much longer. Otherwise, Needlespine is just more damage, more range. It'll be your usual pick. Sometimes people take the slow on mines, even without the other mine talents. Just if the enemy team comp, I guess, is based around rotations, it can be good. Or like they have stealth heroes, or like Zeratul, Genji and stuff, they're going to be really harassed by slow movement speed. But Needlespine is like the standard pick. Ultimate Evolution is necessary for the hero to work. It's kind of the reason it's picked in a lot of ways, because it can team fight so strong. At 13, Soma Transference will be the pick. Just more healing when you W. When you have a target diving, Greymane or Arthas, or one of the strong synergies with Abathur, it'll just give them a lot of extra sustain. Especially as you can use it with the heal, where you hat the target, W, D-hat, and then re-hat. Your cooldowns will be refreshed quicker that way, and that is a lot of healing on the main target with those two talents. 16, the move speed or the slow are both fine, but the move speed is generally taken with shield build, as you get the persisting shield. And 20 is Hivemind, so your symbiote will affect 2 targets. The second one with half strength, but still that's a lot of shielding, a lot of healing, and a lot of damage. It's an incredibly strong talent. One thing I wanted to mention, which I perhaps should have said earlier, is this will be a guide on the competitive playstyle of Abathur, so I don't really want to go over perhaps the Illidan style hat build with Adrenal Overload, and I don't want to go over the Locust or Split Bush builds with Evolved Monstrosity. This is for competitive gameplay. This is what's picked in high elo, picked in the Western Clash and stuff. It's the reason the hero is so strong, S tier hero. So that's really the talent build you're working on. Now let's talk about his base gameplay. So we're going to talk about the basic hat rotation first. This is regardless of map. This is what you're doing with this build. Your strength is in your heal. You have a bit of damage. You have a bit of clear. But if you have someone in the lane, you're just going to hat them. E, W, Q. Possibly stay for a second Q because that has 2 charges, but not necessarily. And D hat as fast as possible. Often, once you've hit level 4 and you have the persisting shield, you'll literally Q, press all your buttons, and R. So you'll hat them, just smash your keyboard, QWE, and hit R again. And then you'll wait for the symbiote to go on them again, perhaps they're still chunked, and you'll do it again. Because if you were just to stay on the main hat target, you know, you think you need to support them, they need the hat, right? You'll use your abilities, but the cooldown will be longer. If you de-hat and re-hat, the cooldowns are refreshed, so it's a 4-second cooldown on symbiote, and you'll have all the buttons available again. So it's about 3 times the rate of healing as if you were just to stay on the target and push E off cooldown. So your main rotation Abathur is just to switch between lanes on the map, looking over at anyone that needs it. Do the hat rotation and just de-hat as fast as possible. That's one of the main mistakes I guess new Abathurs make, is just staying on a primary target and just chilling there waiting for their cooldowns to come up again. Even in a team fight, often your best strategy is to hat someone, use everything, and then immediately de-hat. That's the basic hat strategy with Abathur. Especially, it's just so much healing, so much sustain. The reason this build is so strong right now, you'll be able to see like games where Abathur does a lot of healing, even compared to other healers. He won't be as far behind as you think. It's almost like a second support. Let's talk about Abathur's second ability, which is Toxic Nest, so mine usage. This will depend on maps, but the main the two strategies you use with mines is mining rotations. Generally this will be in bushes. People will always walk through and check. This will be like to cover your top laner, make sure the bushes near them are mined so they're not going to get ganked. And the second main usage is to mine camps to make sure people aren't on them. So it gives vision in the area. If you put the mine on the camp and the enemy end up attacking the siege giants, they'll be revealed, or the boss, or the bruiser camp. It's very important on like bosses on Cursed Hollow to ensure the enemy don't sneak a boss away. One of the reasons he's very strong there. So you'll have to move out a bit as Abathur and place the mines on the enemy camps, even your own if you're worried about invades. I guess the third use of mine can be to trap an area, which can be good. You can build up 5 or 6 mines in an area and potentially catch someone out that way. So Abathur's one of the big reasons he's picked, of course, is his ability to soak and split soak. So this takes an understanding of soaking. You need an understanding of what can soak. So with Abathur you can soak with your body, just like anyone else. Half a screen away, you'll get XP. He can also soak just with his hat. You'll get XP by proximity to his hat. And damage also soaks. So if you do a killing blow with something like a mine, it will give you the soak. Like you can with Asmodan's globe or whatever. If it kills stuff, you'll get the XP even if you're not near it. So with Abathur, body soaking is very important. Generally you'll do it behind a gate or something, but all it takes is like map awareness. You'll just look at the enemy team comp and see who is the fastest rotates, whether it be a Dahaka or a Falstad, which offer the most threat, or just someone like Genji who can rotate quickly and kill you quickly, and just keep special tabs on where they are. And if you know where they are, generally you'll be able to stay out of the gates and catch body soak in another lane and hat soak in another, leaving your 4-man to stay together. Abathur's main job will be catching the soak when you're not sustaining your allies with E. You'll be in a lane that's like too pushed to soak, or you'll be behind a gate where the enemy soak is pushed in, so you can be doing that passively while soaking a far lane or sustaining your team. One of the big reasons of Abathur with this build is healing. I think I've already talked about it really, but you'll need to just make sure you keep E-ing people on cooldown, rehatting, E-ing them again, using your abilities. Particularly you'll need to be sustaining your solo laner. Because they'll be winning the 4v3 in the rotation game, because you have an Abathur that's not participating in that necessarily, you'll want to make sure you win the solo lane. And Abathur should help win any 1v1 in the game, particularly with something like Dahaka. You just can't lose it. You'll just be offering your solo laner so much sustain, the other hero won't be able to keep up. Should be able to get towers, or even if you can send your solo laner to camp and Abathur can hold the top lane. Depends on the map, of course. Ganking. is another thing Abathur can help with. As it'll be essentially a 5 versus 4 on the map a lot of the time, what Abathur can do is help turn 1v1s or 2v1s even more into your favor to help with ganks. So if you have a hero like Genji or something, hitting him at the right time on a gank will really make it happen. You need to be able to hit those heroes when they need them for ganks. And so how you need to do this is you need to be thinking 4 seconds ahead. You need to be looking at what your teammates are thinking about on the minimap, and need to make sure you don't have a minion wave added at the time that they will need it for a gank. So just thinking 4 seconds ahead really with your symbiote, and if you're on comms with your team, of course, getting them to think in that same way. You know, a lot of the time you'll hear people calling for a hat, but of course you're on a wave of bot lane catching some precious soak, and they think you can be there immediately. So just with Abathur getting a sort of a method of thinking is to just think 4 seconds ahead with him, and getting your team to do the same. But it is important to be ready for those ganks. So look when your teammates are looking for it, and make sure you're not on a minion wave. It's worth losing a bit of soak to ensure a gank almost always. Team fighting with Abathur. So this is what Ultimate Evolution is all about. So you can clone a target allied hero and control it for 20 seconds. It'll get more spell power and attack damage, and also movement speed. You won't get the heroic, but it's very, very strong. I'll talk about clone targets now, because this is the big thing with compositions with Abathur, is you need someone good to clone generally. So I'd say the best maybe 3 clone targets in the game right now are Greymane, Arthas, and Genji, just for their purely strong base kits. An Abathur clone of Greymane just has so much burst, can dive the back line. Worgen form is so strong already. With the attack damage and everything, it chunks so hard, you'll be able to tear apart the back line, get a double kill. The Arthas clone is very strong because of its strong base kit. Just having 2 Arthases in the team fight, so much slow, so much body, really helps control the team fight, peel, but also just walk onto the back line. You pop out the Arthas clone, walk onto the back line, and it just gums up their movement and lets your team take them down. You can also just solo kill people with the Arthas clone if you get on the right target. And the Genji clone just has some of the strongest burst in the game. You'll just clone the Genji and both of you will E onto the same target and get E resets. They just die instantly. One of the more disgusting combos in the game, having 2 Genjis go for you, one that has 20% spell power. If you can't get those heroes, Abathur's also strong with just mages like Jaina or Gul'dan is very strong. Maiev clone, Volskaya clone, all are good. There's some meme strategies where you'd use like a Stukov clone or something and get 2 pools of silence, but generally you'll want to have one of these clones targets on your team to warrant picking Abathur. In terms of strategy with cloning, I'd say the main thing is you need to clone at a time when the enemy can't disengage from the team fight. Just like you'd think about maybe a Tychus Odin, it's a completely worthless ult if you pop it and the enemy team just smoothly disengage and you're left with a long cooldown and you can't team fight without it. This is more extreme with Abathur clone than any other, as your team will be going into a 5v4 just with some hand help if clone is wasted. So clone needs to be popped in a time when the enemy has committed to the team fight, or your team have caught them enough to ensure you can get it off. And this is one of the reasons the Arthas clone or Genji clone are so good, as they can chase or slow down the enemy. But I'd say one of the best ways to get a clone off without the enemy instantly disengaging is clone a target out of their vision. Don't just your Greymane's poking at the front line, you pop clone, and neither of the Greymanes can get on the team as they just smoothly disengage. But if you're on your on the side, on the flank with maybe your Arthas, you pop a clone, 2 Arthases come out of the brush, they don't see it coming, that will be the ideal engage for your team. Or if the enemy hard engage, hard commit, a clone will get value. You just need to make sure they can't run away, basically. The last thing I'll talk about for this guide is just a bit about map strategies, where Abathur's good, which maps you should pick him on, and a little bit on how to play on those maps. So I'd say Abathur's strongest map, the one he's most contested on and almost always banned on, but you'll be able to punish teams that don't ban him there, is Sky Temple. He's borderline broken on Sky Temple just because he's the only hero left in the game with Mule on 7, and clever use of Mule and your team prioritizing defending weakened structures means you can essentially negate the map objective. You'll only really see Abathur comps on Sky Temple achieve being able to keep all 3 of your forts and all 3 of your keeps alive at the same time, even into the late game. Also, it's just a large map. Abathur will be able to catch soak, no one else can, because lanes are pushed. He can also turn 1v1s on temples into your favor with Hat. He'll be able to keep vision all over the map with mines, and he's generally got a strong teamfight presence into boss control, because you'll normally have something like an Arthas or a Greymane, and that's quite a tight spot around the boss on Sky Temple. You should be able to get a flank, so he'll be able to contest boss fights very well as well. Towers of Doom. Towers, Abathur is good on for a number of reasons. The biggest one being Towers almost always goes late, and Abathur is a late game monster. He's a hero that scales very well. Also, because the way the objective works, you won't be losing lots of XP by giving altars early. You'll be able to keep even on XP until 10, generally speaking, where Abathur comes online and your team can start taking the fight to altar. Also, the way forts work can often end up with you getting massive free soak. For instance, if they push in the top fort on towers, you'll see pro Abathurs often just almost leaving that tower taken sometimes, and just leaving their body up top, getting just lots of free soak walking into the kill zone. Volskaya, he's strong on right now. He's strong into team fights post 10. I find Volskaya tends to go late still right now, and he can catch soak while people are posturing around the shrine for a long amount of time, the Triglove Protector. Similarly, he's a sustained monster, which really helps on Volskaya, and also this next map, Battlefield of Eternity. So he's a sustained monster with his shield, and he's side soak king. So Abathur will be able to pick up all that side soak while your team defends the Immortal or pokes at the Immortal. He'll also be able to solo lane while the Immortal's pushing in the other lane, and so you'll be able to have your solo laner with your team. He's alright on shrines as well, although he wasn't picked on shrines in the latest Western Clash. Potential of post 10 Abathur comps are very strong on shrine itself. And Curse is kind of Abathur's classic map. I'd say a crucial thing to realize about Abathur on Curse, though, and really on any map, is giving early game objectives, but never more important than on Curse. You're actually going to get cursed with an Abathur comp, generally speaking, unless you manage to execute all of gangs. You're just going to give the first 3, or maybe not if there are ones on your side of the map and you can control them well. But what you want to do is you want to delay tribute camps, so Abathur, your global, can get soak benefit to try and get you an XP lead. Or what you'll do is you'll give tributes, but you'll try and get something else on the map in return. Maybe you'll get push bot lane, push the towers in, or maybe you'll pick up the bruiser camp, or even around level 10, maybe you'll get a boss in exchange for the curse. Stuff to help mitigate the damage of the first curse. What people don't realize on curse a lot is curses are always like so devastating, right? But generally that's because your team has been wiped in at the same time as the enemy team has gotten the curse. If you have all 5 heroes up and just have given the curse willingly, spread out across lanes, and have camps in lanes helping you, the curse can be almost negated. You will take very little from it, especially with the help of Mule and Abathur himself healing up your cursed minions with E and just helping clear waves and shielding towers and stuff as well. So you'll be able to slow the game right down, not get pushed in during curse, and then once you're post 10, hitting talent tiers like 13 and 16, you'll be able to take the fight to the enemy. In the latest Western Clash, Dignitas even employed a strategy where they just respected the power of a level 20 Abathur comp. They were running it, and they gave 2 curses in a row, and they only lost forts from it. They didn't lose keeps, and then they just took the fight to the enemy with level 20 with Hivemind and dominated. So don't be afraid to give objectives with Abathur as long as you're getting stuff in return for it, and then look for the right team fights with clone post 10. The other maps, such, Braxis, Tomb, Dragon, all these maps Abathur is generally weaker on. He's seen pro play on all of them, or almost all of them, but it's kind of the exception to the rule. Teams that are really comfortable with Abathur and what he does, maybe even playing against lower ranked teams, so it's not as scary, and they can run an Abathur comp regardless. But generally only play him on the above maps. That's it for me. That's my first attempt at a guide. I hope it's useful to someone out there, an open division team or an individual, someone wanting to pick up Abathur anyway because they've seen how strong he is. Try out the slug life. I love it. Love the hero. Last thing I want to say is just support Aztech. Follow us on Twitter. All the team members' pages are in the description, all our handles. Particularly if you'd like to support us in the HEC ANZ Premier Division, we'd be very grateful. And please do use the hashtag AZTWin. Help out the brand, and I hope we'll make you proud. Thank you.